Pisces, the test that will expose your true self. Watch before it happens. Pisces, this test is not for everyone. It was never meant for everyone. It is only for the souls who are about to be exposed to their own truth, the ones whose masks have grown too heavy, the ones who can no longer pretend that silence is peace. If you felt something tighten in your chest when you heard that it is already happening, this is not a choice you stumbled into. This is not entertainment. This is not coincidence. This is a mandatory examination written by the universe itself, and once it begins, it does not wait for permission. Most Pisces never realize when the test starts, because it does not arrive with noise. It arrives as discomfort, as restlessness, as a quiet knowing that something is no longer aligned. Hear this clearly. This is not a warning you can ignore and come back to later. This is not a fork in the road where you can turn around without consequence. This is a karmic checkpoint. 90% of Pisces do not pass this stage, not because they are weak, but because they are too compassionate for their own survival. They mistake endurance for enlightenment. They confuse self-sacrifice with spiritual maturity. They stay inside illusions because illusions feel familiar, and familiarity feels safe. But safety built on denial always collapses. If you are watching this right now, the test has already activated. You did not click this video by accident. Your soul responded before your mind could interfere. The universe does not interrupt your life without reason, and it certainly does not repeat itself unless the lesson was ignored the first time. What you are feeling lately is not confusion. It is exposure. The energy around you is shifting because Neptune, your ruling planet, is dissolving the boundary between what is real and what you have been telling yourself to survive. When Neptune stirs, illusions do not break suddenly. They melt. They blur. They soften just enough for truth to seep through. And that is what makes this test so dangerous. It does not look dramatic. It looks like doubt. It looks like emotional fatigue. It looks like the quiet question you keep pushing away when no one is watching. Ask yourself now, without defending your answer, without explaining it away. Are you living as your true self? Or are you performing a version of yourself that keeps other people comfortable? Feel the silence after that question. That silence is the answer your mind is afraid to hear. In Buddhist philosophy, suffering does not begin with pain. It begins with ignorance, not ignorance of the world, but ignorance of the self. When you abandon right view, when you choose illusion over clarity, you enter a cycle that repeats until awareness returns. Pisces. This is where the 12-year loop is born. This is how souls lose time without realizing it. You do not lose years because of bad luck. You lose them because you refuse to see what is already revealed. Those who turn away now will repeat the same emotional lessons, the same relationship patterns, the same exhaustion until the universe forces a harsher awakening. You may already feel it, the sense that something in your life is no longer sustainable, the subtle pressure building behind your chest, the exhaustion that sleep does not cure. These are not symptoms of weakness. They are signals. Ancient prophecy teaches that when truth approaches, the unprepared soul experiences fear, while the ready soul experiences recognition. Which one are you feeling right now? Recognition or fear? Do not scroll. Do not look away. Leaving now does not stop the test. It only delays your awareness of it. The first sign is about to reveal itself, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Stay with this moment. If you are still here, comment to anchor yourself, because acknowledgement is the first act of protection. Like this video to signal your readiness to receive clarity. Subscribe to stay aligned with the warnings that arrive without notice. Share this message because another Pisces is standing at the same threshold, unaware that their future is being decided right now. Pisces, this is where the cosmic test reveals its true design, because what you are experiencing is not random fatigue, not emotional confusion, and not a loss of direction. This is Neptune activating what ancient astrologers called the blind zone of the soul, the place where truth and illusion overlap so perfectly that only awareness can separate them. Neptune does not lie to you. It dissolves the lies you have learned to live inside. As this planet moves, the fog lifts just enough for discomfort to arise, and that discomfort is the doorway. You are not breaking down. You are being invited inward to see, without filters, to feel, without costumes, to stand inside your own frequency, without apologizing for it. At the same time, Pluto is working beneath the surface far below conscious thought, pressing on memories, instincts, and suppressed truths you buried to survive. Pluto never negotiates. It excavates. What has been hidden must come up not to punish you, but to reclaim your power. This is why the test feels emotional rather than practical. It is not measuring achievement status or productivity. It is measuring honesty. The only question being asked is whether you are willing to face yourself without distortion. Everything else is background noise designed to distract you from that moment of recognition. If you are wondering how to identify the test, listen to your body before your thoughts. Sudden exhaustion without cause, the urge to withdraw even from people you care about. Irritation toward roles you once accepted. Without question, these are not symptoms of weakness. They are signals of misalignment. The soul grows tired long before the mind admits the truth. You may notice yourself craving silence, resenting obligations, or feeling strangely numb during moments that once felt meaningful. This is Neptune, removing emotional anesthesia so you can feel what has always been there. The universe is now presenting you with a choice that cannot be postponed. Continue sacrificing your truth to maintain peace, or return to your authentic self and allow reality to reorganize around you. This is not a moral decision, it is an energetic one. Every time you choose self-erasure, you reinforce the illusion. Every time you choose authenticity, you disrupt patterns that were built on your compliance. Pisces often confuse compassion with endurance, but endurance without self-respect is spiritual abandonment. Understand this clearly. The relationship you are currently struggling with is not a coincidence. It is the exam itself. The dynamic that drains you, confuses you, or leaves you feeling unseen is the universe asking a single question through another human being. Will you continue to disappear, or will you finally stand present? The person who exhausts you the most is not your enemy. They are the mirror exposing what you have tolerated beyond your capacity. Their presence highlights the boundary you have been avoiding. In Buddhist teaching, suffering persists when attachment to illusion outweighs commitment to truth. This is that moment. Avoidance is not neutrality. Avoidance is a choice, and in this test, avoidance equals failure. Not dramatic failure, but quiet repetition. The same emotional lessons replayed under different names, faces, and settings for years. This is how 12-year cycles are formed, not by fate, but by refusal. Prophecy has always warned that the soul who turns away from awakening will be forced to meet it again through loss. This is why the pressure feels urgent now. The window is narrow, the clarity is brief. And this is the part where most Pisces fail, not because they cannot see the truth, but because they are afraid of what changes once they do. Stay here. Acknowledge what resonates. Comment to anchor your awareness. Like this message to affirm your readiness. Subscribe to remain protected and share this because another Pisces is standing at the same threshold, unaware that their future is being tested right now. Pisces. This is the moment the mask begins to crack. Not because you failed to hold it together, but because your soul no longer agrees to carry it. What you are feeling now is not confusion, it is recognition. A quiet, undeniable realization rising from beneath years of accommodation, sacrifice, and emotional compromise. You are beginning to see that much of your life has been shaped around the expectations of others, not because you were weak, but because you believed love required self-erasure. You learned to become what was needed, what was expected, what was praised long before you were asked what you truly wanted. And now that truth is standing in front of you, unfiltered and unavoidable. That familiar phrase you offer so easily, "I'm fine," was never a statement of peace. It was a shield. Each time you said it while feeling empty, resentful, or unseen, you cut a small piece away from your authenticity. This was not kindness. This was quiet self-betrayal. Pisces, your sensitivity has been mistaken for permission by those who benefited from your silence. You held space for others while abandoning your own, and the universe has recorded every moment you minimized your truth to keep the harmony intact. Now, the revelation sharpens. The people who remain close to you are not necessarily aligned with who you are becoming. Some stayed because your frequency made them comfortable, because your forgiveness was predictable, because your empathy required nothing in return. As your energy shifts, as your awareness rises, the imbalance becomes impossible to ignore. It is not that they changed. You did. And the pain you feel is the friction between your emerging truth and an old dynamic that cannot follow you forward. Here is the most painful truth of this phase. Your kindness has been used as a method of control, not always consciously, not always maliciously, but effectively. When you give without boundaries, you teach others that access to you has no cost. When you absorb emotional weight that is not yours, you reinforce patterns that keep you small. This is not an accusation, it is an awakening. Compassion without discernment becomes captivity, and Pisces, you were never meant to be owned by your own generosity. Ancient prophecy warned of this exact crossroads. Nostradamus spoke of souls who refused to face their reflection, becoming prisoners of their own shadow, wandering through cycles of suffering not imposed by fate, but by avoidance. This is that moment. The darkness you are confronting is not external. It is the unacknowledged truth within you, demanding recognition. And if hearing this stirs discomfort, resistance, or a tightening in your chest, understand this clearly. The test has reached its target. Revelation always feels like threat before it feels like freedom. Your pain right now is not punishment. It is not karma striking you down. It is an alarm, precise and purposeful, designed to wake you before you lose more time. Living out of alignment. The universe does not wound without reason. It presses where healing must begin. You are being asked to stop negotiating your worth, to stop earning love through endurance, to stop mistaking tolerance for enlightenment. This ache is not your enemy. It is your guide. Stay with this feeling. Do not rush to soothe it. Do not numb it with explanations. Let it speak, because beneath the discomfort is clarity, and beneath clarity is power. If this message feels personal, it is because your soul is responding. Acknowledge it. Comment to anchor this realization into your timeline. Like this video to affirm your readiness to step into alignment. Subscribe to remain protected as these revelations continue. Share this message because another Pisces is standing in the same moment of truth, unaware that their mask is about to fall. But Buddhism gives this moment a name, and understanding it changes everything. Pisces, this is the moment where the storm quiets and meaning finally steps forward, because what you are experiencing now is not chaos, but clarity, arriving without disguise. In Buddhist teaching, this stage is called right view, the moment when illusion loses its authority and truth is seen without decoration or fear. Right view does not bring comfort. First, it brings accuracy, and accuracy reshapes everything. You are not being asked to judge yourself or others. You are being asked to see clearly without the stories you once needed to survive. When the mind stops arguing with reality, suffering begins to loosen its grip. Pisces carries a deep karmic imprint. The archetype of the healer, the rescuer, the one who absorbs pain so others can breathe easier. Across lifetimes, this role has been refined until sacrifice feels natural, even noble. But the shadow of this gift is forgetting the self. You learn to save others while quietly abandoning your own needs, your own boundaries, your own voice. This test exists because the universe will not allow enlightenment that costs you your identity. Compassion that requires self-erasure is not awakening, it is imbalance. Let this land gently. Releasing what no longer fits is not loss, it is correction. Letting go is not failure. It is exiting a role that was never aligned with your soul's design. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from attachment not to people, but to images, identities, and expectations that no longer reflect truth. You have been holding on to an outdated version of yourself, one shaped by who you had to be rather than who you are. The pain you felt was the strain of carrying that image beyond its expiration. This is why the test never asked who you love. It never asked who you choose. It asked something far more confronting. Have you been betraying yourself to preserve peace? Each time you stayed silent while something inside you fractured, each time you minimized your truth to avoid conflict, each time you accepted emotional imbalance as spiritual patience, you stepped further away from right view. Silence in the face of injustice. Especially injustice against the self is not virtue. It is self-harm disguised as serenity. Understand this with compassion, not shame. You were taught that goodness meant endurance. You were praised for flexibility, for understanding, for forgiving endlessly. But no one taught you that boundaries are also sacred. The soul cannot expand inside a cage built from politeness and fear. When you remain quiet while your spirit contracts, you are not choosing peace. You are choosing disappearance. And the universe will not reward disappearance with fulfillment. Right view restores balance by asking for one decision, not many. You do not need to confront everyone. You do not need to burn bridges. You do not need dramatic declarations. You need one internal commitment. I will no longer make myself smaller to be accepted. That is it. That single decision realigns your energy, your future, your timeline. When you stop shrinking, reality must adjust to meet you. When you stop abandoning yourself, abundance begins to recognize you again. This is where destiny responds. The moment you choose authenticity, protection activates. Opportunities shift. Relationships reorganize. Energy that was leaking returns. This is not mystical fantasy. It is energetic law, What honors itself attracts stability. What values itself becomes magnetic. Wealth in its truest form flows toward integrity. Safety forms around self-respect. The future does not open to those who endure quietly. It opens to those who stand consciously. Breathe into this awareness. Feel how calm arrives when resistance ends. You are not losing anything real. You are releasing what was draining you of life force. And now the test reaches its final threshold. Action seals understanding. Without action, clarity fades. With action, timelines lock. If this resonates, acknowledge it. Comment to anchor this decision into your reality. Like this message to signal alignment with abundance and protection. Subscribe to stay guided as the path unfolds. Share this because another Pisces is standing at the same crossroads, unsure that one choice can change everything. And here is the action that locks the test and activates what comes next. Pisces, if you are still here, understand this is not accidental. You were selected by awareness itself to complete this test, not because you are perfect, but because you are ready. Readiness does not arrive with confidence. It arrives with honesty. The fact that you stayed means your soul already chose movement over stagnation, truth over comfort, alignment over illusion. This is the moment where understanding must become action, because insight without embodiment fades, and the universe only responds to what is lived, not what is merely understood. Allow yourself to soften. You are safe here. This is not a performance, not a demand, not a judgment. This is a closing ritual. Gently close your eyes if you can. Feel the weight of your body where it rests. Inhale slowly, deeply, as if you are drawing breath from the center of your chest. Hold it for a moment, just long enough to feel presence return. Then, exhale fully, releasing the pressure you have been carrying silently. With that breath, call your true name inside yourself. Not the name others gave you, not the role you played, but the essence you recognize when you are alone and unguarded. That is who the universe has been waiting for. Let this truth settle. You do not need to perform to be loved. You do not need to shrink to be accepted. You do not need to carry emotional weight that was never assigned to you. Say it inwardly, without force, without resistance. I do not need to play a role to be loved. Feel how your body responds when that sentence lands without apology. This is not rebellion. This is remembrance. This is the soul returning to its rightful shape. In astrology, moments like this mark the sealing of a karmic passage. When Neptune dissolves illusion and Pluto forces truth to the surface, the test only completes when the individual chooses alignment consciously. Choice is the key. Not dramatic change, not confrontation, not explanation. Choice. The universe does not require proof. It requires consent. Consent to stop abandoning yourself. Consent to stop negotiating your worth. Consent to step out of cycles that fed on your silence. This is why the next action matters. Commenting is not just engagement. It is declaration. Words spoken with awareness anchor energy into form. When you type, "I choose my true self," you are not writing for the screen. You are signaling your nervous system, your subconscious, and the larger field that you are done. Repeating old contracts. Each comment becomes a marker in time, a timestamp where the pattern breaks. And yes, it also allows this message to reach another Pisces who is still standing at the edge, unaware that their hesitation has consequences. Sharing this message is not about promotion. It is protection. The universe works through resonance. When you share truth, you reinforce it within yourself. Somewhere, another Pisces is absorbing emotional weight they were never meant to carry, mistaking endurance for enlightenment. This video may arrive as their interruption, just as it arrived for you. When you share, you participate in closing a loop that has lasted far too long. Subscribing is not about loyalty to a channel. It is about continuity. Tests like this do not happen once. They arrive in layers, each one requiring deeper honesty. The warnings that matter most are rarely announced. Staying connected ensures you do not miss the moments that determine direction, timing, and protection. Awareness is cumulative. The more you stay present, the less the universe needs to escalate to get your attention. As you return your focus to this moment, notice if something has shifted. Perhaps a subtle lightness, perhaps a quiet calm, perhaps simply less resistance. These are signs of integration. You are not meant to feel euphoric. You are meant to feel aligned. Alignment feels grounded, clear, and steady. If you sense that, even faintly, then understand this. The test has been completed. The lesson has been received. The cycle has been interrupted. Remain here for a breath longer than necessary. Let the moment seal itself. Pisces, you did not lose anything real. You reclaimed yourself. And when the self returns, the future reorganizes. If you feel lighter, the test is complete.